Welcome to Beatsource Tech. My name is Mojaxx, and in this episode we're looking at the Mixtour Pro, a collaboration between Reloop, Algoriddim and Laidback Luke, and a rare example of a manufacturer giving a DJ exactly what they want in a piece of hardware. Does that mean it's only going to work for him? Let's find out. I think the thing I like most about Reloop is how agile they seem to be. I can't think of many brands who, when approached by a DJ, even one of Laidback Luke's status, would pull out all the stops to create a device which is exactly what they want. I think the only recent example is Play Differently with Richie Hawtin's Model 1, but even that didn't have Richie Hawtin's name or logo on it, whereas the Mixtour Pro has Luke's logo front and centre. If you haven't heard the story, here's a quick outline. Laidback Luke got really into using Algoriddim's DJ Pro on his phone specifically. He tried using the original Reloop Mixtour from years ago, but found it was lacking features he wanted and the sound quality wasn't quite there. So he approached Reloop and they worked with him to create this new Pro version, which fulfills all his requirements. And this is not just some symbolic brand deal either. Luke really is using the Mixtour Pro with an iPhone on huge stages around the world in front of thousands of people every month. We'll get the basics out of the way first. The Mixtour Pro is a controller for DJ Pro. It's core audio compliant and will work with iOS, macOS, Windows and even Android. It uses regular MIDI and there are no jog wheels, so there's no reason it couldn't work with other software too, but it's only natively supported by Algoriddim. It has a very compact form factor, a touch bigger than the smallest controllers like the DJ2Go or the Hercules Starlight, but a tiny bit smaller than the X1 Mark III from Native Instruments. It actually fits in the soft case for the X1, which is what I've been carrying it around in. That's because Reloop did not send me the premium Modular XT bag designed for the Mixtour Pro, which at around $30 I consider to be an essential purchase. It protects the unit, has space for accessories, and also acts as a stand, bringing the Pro up to the same height as other DJ gear you'll find in the booth. On the subject of pricing, the Mixtour Pro is definitely not a budget device. It has a price of around $500 in the US, which will lead to a degree of sticker shock for some, I'm sure. And I can't pretend that price doesn't seem quite high compared to what else is out there. The DDJ Flex 4 from Pioneer DJ is a little over $300. The Tractor S3 is $550, and Reloop's own Buddy and Ready both come in at well under $400. The aforementioned Tractor X1 Mark III is $300, although that doesn't include an audio interface, but it does have multiple displays on board. I think when you break down what the Mixtour Pro does, the price certainly isn't crazy, but it definitely suggests to me that if you are going to go for it, then you really have to go for it. This isn't the kind of device you will pick up on a whim to use when travelling or as a backup. You need to be all in on this workflow. The actual quality of the Mixtour Pro gives me no qualms at all. It's mostly constructed from plastic with an aluminium faceplate, and so it's light and portable, but it's also very dense and feels solid in hand. The faders are Reloop's Ultra Glide models, so have a good quality, reassuring feel to them, and all the controls and connectors felt on point to me. The sound quality is there too. The audio interface has 24-bit Cirrus Logic digital to analog converters, and whilst it was hard to judge the sound at gigs in some ways, there are no balanced outputs, so it was always running through another mixer, I was overall very happy with the quality of output it produced. The connectivity of the Mixtour Pro is interesting. There are two USB-C ports on the rear and it can be powered in two ways. You can plug a charger into the left one, then connect to your computer, tablet or phone with the one on the right. This will power the unit itself and pass through up to 85 watts to your device via power delivery. Alternatively, you can have the Mixtour Pro be bus powered by just connecting it to your device via the left-hand port. In terms of outputs, there is just the one stereo pair of RCAs for master out and a 3.5mm headphone socket on the front. There's also a hardware mono stereo switch on the front, which I always appreciate, although it seems a touch larger and more prominent than necessary. I'd have preferred it to be around the back. With the lack of any inputs whatsoever, the Mixtour Pro could be seen as quite limited, but DJ Pro is a very flexible application and you can choose which audio interface you use, so there are options. Take this setup on Mac for example. Imagine that Range 70 is a DJM A9 in the club with no MIDI controls. I could utilise the interface in that mixer for external mixing, whilst having the Mixtour Pro hooked up for controls only, including the Neural Mix EQs, and even use phase in HID mode along with it. It's complicated, but my point is that DJ Pro doesn't have the locked down nature of something like Serato, so the Mixtour Pro can be used in a somewhat modular fashion.
So let's run you through the features here on the Mixtour Pro. There's lots and lots of stuff going on with layers, etc. If you're just working in a kind of straightforward way, one track to another, it's not too bad. But if you want to get deep into the functions of DJ Pro, then yes, there's a lot of layering to deal with, and that's before you even get 4 decks involved in the situation as well. But we'll start at the bottom. All right, crossfader, I've got that set to a sharp cut in the software. And the up faders as well. These faders are nothing to write home about, but it's not a turntablist tool. It is a mixing device at the end of the day, so I'm very happy with the performance. And I like the fact they are full-size, big faders to work with. Then we've got the Q Master blend knob and the Q volume. Now, one thing to note, when I first connected this to my iPad, the Q output volume was really low. Like, I was maxing it out and there still wasn't enough there. That's because in the software, this was actually set around halfway and it wasn't set to the max. This, you see the Q volume knob is not affecting that. The Q mix does, but that one wasn't. I don't know if that's a quirk of the mapping or if it's just how the hardware works, but yeah, you're not getting enough Q volume. Make sure that that is maxed out in the software and you should be good to go. So that's the bottom section. We move on to the transport controls. We've got the Q and the play pause. These are like rubber pads with a fair bit of travel on them and a nice positive click at the bottom of the travel. And I like that, they feel good. There's plenty of space around them. I don't feel like I'm gonna accidentally hit another pad or another button when I'm activating these. All good, so it's Q, play, pause, and we've got the loop, so in, out, exit, sync button, which, you know, if you're playing on this thing, and you're not using sync, I don't know what you're doing. It's like the Control X1 from Native Instruments. It's like, this is a tool designed to be used with sync. Like, you can do manual adjustments. I'll show you that in a minute, but fundamentally, if you're working on a device like this, you should be using sync, really. It doesn't make a lot of sense not to, in my opinion. We have shift controls on these, right? So we've got shift, pitch bend to nudge things into place if you're just using like beat sync or whatever, or tempo sync rather. Then we have the mode button, key up and down. Then the auto loop there, so hold shift and the loop button. I'm set to a 4-beat loop, so just shift and the loop button gives me an auto loop. And if we hold shift and press sync, that's key match to the other deck. And if we hold the mode button now in the loop, can halve and double that loop. And this is one area where, you know, there's no marking to show you that. That's why this layering stuff can be really complicated, because there's nothing to say that here. Down here you've got, yeah, mode button, shift, okay. There's nothing there. The other one we can do is hold down the mode and the shift, and then the Q and the play pause become actual tempo adjustments. We go up and down the tempo with those. So as I say, you can manually mix on this if you want to. If you insist, you can, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So that's your transport section. Move on up to the effects section. We've obviously got the Q buttons there. Now those can also, if you hold shift, that enables the crossfader effects or the crossfader tempo effects. So let's play this one and hold shift, turn on crossfader effects. Now when I move the crossfader over, it's going to do my chosen crossfader effect. Now let's do the sweep one. And they are really cool. Those crossfader effects are super dope. There's lots of different choices. I'll just turn those off now at this point. There you go. And you can do the tempo one as well. And that means if you're playing tracks of different tempos, it will adjust the tempo throughout the crossfader effect as well. Super dope feature in DJ Pro. Love that. The effects themselves, we have the parameter buttons there, left and right. And if you hold down the mode button, that will let you go through the different effects back and forth as well. So let's choose, let's see, we'll have tape echo, right? So, and then we've got the paddles, so springs back if you pull it towards you. post fader and post crossfader if you set them as such in the software. The paddles feel great. I mean, they're small, but yeah, they feel good. Nice powerful spring back on them. And just another note is if you hold shift and do the paddle towards you, that is a little Laidback Luke trick of a spin back. Again, another thing that's not marked on here in any way. So you're going to have to get used to this stuff and develop that muscle memory. Moving up, we have the filter, has a little blue light comes on. All good there. Then we have the EQs, the regular EQs, and you can switch those over to neural mix EQs as well. These don't seem to be working quite correctly on this beta version of DJ Pro that I'm using right here, so just bear that in mind that this is not quite the results you will get if you set them up properly. But yeah, you can have drums, harmonic and vocals. And there is another option in the settings as well, so easily accessible. That neural mix button right there, nice and straightforward. Moving up then, we've got the channel gain on each one. There is auto gain in DJ Pro, so you don't necessarily need those very often. Now we get to the the library controls. So hold the knob, turn the knob, and you can go through your playlists. And then load a track by pushing down on the load button, and then off we go. You can also seek through the track as well, so if you hold down the mode button, you're looking for a way to get through the track quickly. So yeah, happy with those controls. Now we're into the performance pad section here. This is kind of complicated, but yeah, we'll get our heads around it. So right now we're in split mode, right? That means we've got a cue for this one on this side, and a cue for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4 hot cues. And if we go hit the mode button there, now we've got all 8 hot cues for deck 1. And if we go over here, we've now got all 8 hot cues for deck 2. Back to split mode, just those first 4 again. So split mode, I think for most people will be what you're in most of the time. Then if we hold down the mode button, we can see we have other options underneath. So hold down that, we go to auto loop mode. So this one is now in auto loop mode. If I hold this one down and go to auto loop mode as well, now this one is in auto loop mode. And now we've got auto loops. So again, it's always split or an individual deck. So you can devote all 8 pads to an individual deck or have the same on both. So again, we hold down that mode button, we go bounce loop. So that's basically like loop roll. Sampler, pitch cue. Oh, I'm in sampler mode there. Didn't quite go into pitch cue properly. There we go. Saved loops. Let's get rid of that. So I haven't got any saved loops. Oh, I do have one saved loop on there. There we are. Hold it again. Instant effects. There we go there. You can actually see those on the screen. And again, if we push the mode, and we've now got all 8. Back to split mode, and then neural mix is the last one. I've only got 3 neural mix things on, so there's only 3 pads working. And again, split, or we can go right out and go one side or the other. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot there, but it's pretty accessible, and they are marked so they're different modes. I mean, chances are I'm going to mostly just stay in hotkey mode most of the time, and that'll be the same for both really. So I'll just be in hotkey mode, have 4 hotkeys. I don't usually use more than 4 hotkeys. So there we are. So I'll keep it in split and the hotkey mode, but if you want to go deeper, you can absolutely go deeper. Now, of course, there's more because we have 4 decks on here, right? So let me go into 4 deck mode. I believe, if you hold the neural mix button and not that one. See, I'm lost. I'm actually lost. There we go. Shift and neural mix. We can go to different modes. So now we're in 4 deck view. So let me change over. So I'm going to hold the mode button. And now I'm into deck 4. So I can open up there. And let's load a track. There. So now I've loaded. I haven't. There we are. So now you can see the buttons have turned red. And then to go back in, I have to go mode 2, and then I can stop that one. For me, 4 decks on here is a bit of a step too far. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'm not a big fan of 4 decks on most 4 deck devices, to be honest. See, again, I'm trying to fade this down and it's the wrong deck. You know, so like, yes, if you're absolutely on point, you can certainly do some cool stuff with 4 decks. To me, this will always feel like, at its core, a 2 deck device. And I'd say this is not me calling this out in particular. You know, even big devices with 4 decks on them, if they don't have 4 channels, you know, if they've got 2 jog wheels, 2 pitch faders, I don't feel comfortable really using 4 decks a lot because I just find it's a little bit much at times. But there is 4 deck control here. You can do it. And if you're on top of it, there's no reason it can't work for you. Just so I'm saying, for me, it's a step too far. I would love the ability to plug in 2 of these, to use one on one side for decks, you know, 1 and 3, as I do with the Tractor X1s, for example, to have either side and just have 2 of them next to each other. 1, 2, 3, 4. That for me would be an absolute dream, because trying to manage 4 decks on one 2-channel device with 2 faders on it, as I say, for me, that's a step too far. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. But yeah, for me, it's too much. I can't, I like to think I'm a focused DJ. I'm not. I don't drink when I DJ. I'm working hard. I'm on point. But for me, it's a little too much, and there's just a bit too much chance of things going wrong. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. But otherwise, yeah, as you can see, for straightforward usage, it's a simple device. If you want to go deeper, you absolutely can. You want to delve into those layers, you absolutely can. And overall, yeah, just nice, compact, and a lot of fun. So there you go, a look at the Mixtour Pro from Reloop and Laidback Luke. I can't pretend I don't wish it was a touch cheaper. As much as I think the value is there in terms of features and quality, that $500 price point in the US stops it having much potential as, say, a device to keep in your bag as a backup. Even in Reloop's own lineup, the body, whilst only having 2 decks, will do that job perfectly well for almost $200 less. The value of the Mixtour Pro is only really there if it's something you intend to use as your primary piece of DJ gear. And of course, it's likely that many of you watching this won't be interested in this jog wheel free way of working at all. However, if you've decided that Laidback Luke's workflow is something you're really interested in adopting, and that DJ Pro is the software for you, then the Mixtour Pro is going to do a fantastic job. As much as all the layering can be confusing at first, if you're using the Pro most or all of the time, then you'll develop muscle memory for its numerous functions very quickly. And at that point, it might not turn you into a kung fu athlete like Luke, but it definitely becomes a very powerful weapon. In the comments, let us know your thoughts on the Mixtour Pro. Is this way of working something that interests you? And tell us which other DJ you would most like to see a signature product from. Thanks for watching this episode of Beatsource Tech. I do hope you've enjoyed it or found it useful. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. I'll see you next time.